miss these Tuesdays.
I sure am.
It's the run-up to the Tuesday you'll miss the most, though.
The IPR, the IPR capability teams it, so you're gonna be like, first Tuesday, I'm gonna be tuning in and watching the movie. I said, no.
You better be, Janet. I have an expectation that you will always tune in.
Sorry, we already had our performance review.
This is like made for good viewing.
It can be. Maybe on the other side of the desk, I will be.
The item on the admin code.
Yes.
Let's see where it goes.
Yeah.
Do you talk to Ellen or how did you do it?
Alex. I haven't talked to the commissioners about it.
Just like really late 15 on a Tuesday, and then you
Is
want to
that when
pretend
it first came out?
to the level of like I'm going to rewrite it. I work off instinct. You know, what do you don't paint as long as I'm trying to write. So we'll see.
Does it warrant pulling it, do you think?
It might get tabled as opposed to.
The Ramsey County Board of Commissioners meeting is now called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Fretham,
Here.
Mattis Castillo,
Here.
McDonough,
Here.
McGuire,
Here.
Ortega. Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Here.
Carter,
Here. Thank you very much. I'll call on Commissioner McDonough. Will you please say the Pledge of Allegiance for us while the rest of us all mute? Thank you.
I will, Chair Carter. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Commissioner McDonough. The agenda of April 6th is before you. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair. Second.
Thank you for the motion and second. Are there any questions or discussion on the agenda before we move it? Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
thank you, Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Mattis Castillo,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye. Thank you very much. The agenda is passed and the minutes of March 23rd are before you for approval.
So moved.
Move approval. Second.
Thank you for the motion and second. Is there any discussion on the minutes of March 23rd? Roll call, please.
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Mattis Castillo,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye. Thank you very much. The minutes are passed, and we have the delight this morning of being able to recognize two employees. I am going to call on, in this order, Commissioner Reinhardt and then Commissioner Fretham. First, Commissioner Reinhardt to recognize Karen Dyson. Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is truly my honor and pleasure to read the nomination for the Achievement Award for Karen Dyson. She works in Workforce Solutions Department. And I will read the nomination summary. Karen Dyson is an Employment Guidance Counselor Aide for Workforce Solutions. She was nominated for a Ramsey County Employee Achievement Award in the categories of Excellent Job Performance and Performance Beyond the Call of Duty. Karen's supervisor, CJ Stanton, praised her work productivity, communication skills, collaboration, and creativity. She joined Workforce Solutions about 2 years ago and found immediate success. And when you think about 2 years ago, by the way, it is really about 6 months probably before the pandemic or the new way of working started. So it was truly a change time, a moment for change. Anyhow, even in a high-functioning team, Karen is a standout employee. Karen is the first point of contact for Workforce Solutions, responding to an average of 120 phone calls per week and directing callers to the optimal job-seeking resources. During the pandemic, Karen has created a resume packet and taught resume workshops remotely, showcasing her adaptability. Again, what's more important when you're going out for a job interview than having a good resume? So teaching that is really great. She has displayed her creativity and helpfulness in consolidating employment resources that everyone on her team uses, making them searchable and more accessible. Karen's colleagues have praised her professionalism and ability to stay calm in high-stress situations, which I'm sure she's had many over this last year. In summary, the Achievement Award Selection Committee recommends that Karen Dyson be awarded a Ramsey County Employee Achievement Award in the categories of excellent job performance and performance beyond the call of duty. So I believe that there are probably other folks that want to speak to this award, but very, very pleased to be able to present this to you, Karen. And I can see that it is displayed, and I assume that we will hear from you. And I'm not sure if Abel and or others from the area or the committee or from Workforce Solutions are going to speak, but I will turn it back to the chair. And again, my heartfelt thank you and congratulations, Karen.
Thank you so very much, Commissioner Reinhardt, and congratulations, and thank you so much, Karen, for your performance. I see screens lit up, and I know that they're here for you. I'm going to turn first to Ling Becker, our Director of Workforce Solutions, and we'll hear what they have to say. Director Becker.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt. First of all, congratulations, Karen. As a department, we are so proud and excited to be able to be here to honor you in partnership with our commissioners. Lisa Gitzkow is our programs manager. She is here as well, but CJ Stanton, who is Karen's supervisor, is going to speak on behalf of our department this morning, Chair Carter.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Ling. And Madam Chair and Commissioners, my name is CJ Stanton, Employment Guidance Counselor Supervisor. I'm pleased to be here representing Workforce Solutions as Karen's supervisor, and we're super proud of her. When I think of Karen, she is somebody that's just perfectly suited for her role. She always has excellent customer service. She's such a quick learner and an excellent listener that, no matter anybody's situation that comes in, whether it's, high stress or, when we had to adapt to, moving things virtually, she was so able to go with the flow and just adjust. And she always provides a high level of service. And I'm really lucky to be able to work with somebody like that on our team. She makes all of our work easier, and I don't think any of us have hard work. And so we're super proud of her and everything that she's done in a relatively short time with Workforce Solutions. She's certainly deserving of the honor today. So thank you very much.
So our hands are applauding you. Thank you so much for your performance. Thanks so much, CJ, for your sharing with us the work that Karen has done. And Karen, we need to hear from you too today. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. So first, I would just like to say that I feel honored that a coworker nominated me. I really value my connections with staff, so that is of large value to me. I also really appreciate that the county and the commissioners support these types of recognitions for staff. And my last thing I want to say is I really do want to accept this on behalf of all of my teammates at Workforce Solutions. There are so many people that are so passionate and talented and work so hard, and they really deserve it as well. So thank you. I appreciate this recognition.
Karen, thank you so much. You represent your high-functioning team quite well, and we have already heard that that is the team, the sort of team that you come from. I know that they must also be very proud of you as we are today. It's a special joy for us. So thank you. Again, we are so delighted that we are recognizing 2 of our employees today. And for that second recognition, I am going to call on Commissioner Fretham to recognize Mina Heng, or please correct me if it's Han. Thank you, Commissioner Fretham.
Thank you, Chair Carter. I had confirmed it is Mina Hang and really excited to present this Employee Achievement Award for her today. Mina is a financial worker with Financial Assistance Services, and she was nominated for a Ramsey County Employee Achievement Award in the categories of Excellent Job Performance and Performance Beyond the Call of Duty. Mina has been described as a power worker, getting her work done quickly and efficiently in a stressful job and always meeting deadlines. Although she has 10 days to process checks sent in for reimbursement, Mina usually has it done within 3 days. When she first joined the department, most of the work was being done on paper, and Mina played a pivotal role in refining the process while moving from paper to electronic, making my little millennial heart sing. This later proved especially helpful when the pandemic began, allowing employees to work remotely and saving money in the process. Mina is known as someone who goes above and beyond to help others, often receiving praise from her team lead and other colleagues. She often takes the initiative to cross-train on other systems to better support her colleagues. Mina is a good communicator and always willing to share her knowledge, and colleagues say she also has a great sense of humor. On behalf of the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners and the Employee Achievement Award Selection Committee, I hereby congratulate you and present you with this well-deserved award. Thank you for your excellent job performance and for going above and beyond.
Thank you so very much, Commissioner Fretham. And I do see Mina here with us, although I'm not seeing Mina, I'm seeing her perhaps by telephone. I see others who are on the line as well. And in order to share with us a little bit more about Mina and her work, I'm going to call on our Director of Financial Services, Financial Assistance Services, and that is Director Tina Curry. Director Curry.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. On behalf of the Financial Assistance Services Department, I would like to thank you for recognizing the outstanding contributions Mina has made to the department. One of Mina's strongest qualities is her client service. A client's daughter recently called to say Mina went above and beyond in explaining her mother's healthcare benefit. Her mother only spoke Hmong and needed assistance in understanding her disability change to over 65. Although this client was not on Mina's caseload, she returned calls several times and assisted her in getting the information she needed. The daughter stated that her mother struggled explaining her needs to many workers, but with Mina's assistance, her mother was comfortable and less stressed. Mina is a great employee and an asset to the department and the county. Next, I would like to extend an opportunity to Terrell Nelson, Mina's supervisor, to say a few comments. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Terrell Nelson, Mina's supervisor. I'm the supervisor of the Managed Healthcare Cost Effective Unit. It is my honor to have Mina on our Managed Healthcare Cost Effective team. She's an outstanding coworker and passionate financial worker to our clients. She has always gone that extra mile to find solutions, as you've heard from Tina and the prior commissioner. As a teammate, if you understand financial worker language at all, she is the best case noter I have ever personally worked with. Thank you and congratulations from your team. We are super proud of you. You deserve it.
Chair Carter, you are on mute.
Thank you very much. It's so wonderful to hear about the skills and talents that Mina brings to the work. And I am going to ask if Mina, you can be on screen. I know that you will, but we need to hear from you today. So I'll call on Mina. Thank you for being here with us. I know that Mina is here with us and has heard the praise for her work. Here she is.
No, I'm not quite sure why my video is not working. But anyway, I just want to let my team know that I'm very thankful for their support. Without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. I also want to let everyone know that I appreciate all the help I received. Thank you for the help and support. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to learn and be a part of Ramsey County.
Hands are clapping, Mina. Thank you so very, very much for all of the work that you've done with us. And thanks for being here with us. Although we didn't see your face, we certainly heard your warm voice and appreciate that you use that voice and your caring and skills in assisting people in Ramsey County every day. Thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity to recognize your team and your participation in making Ramsey County a place where all are valued and thrive, which is our vision. Thank you. So we are delighted again to have been able to recognize these special achievement awards and to thank all of our employees for their work and dedication every day here at Ramsey County. And now we are able to move on to our COVID information section, for which I'll call on County Manager O'Connor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, good morning. We do have some updates today. We've been gone for a week in between, so we're going to do a little bit more than just the info update. The full dashboard you can find in the packet if the public would like to go to it, ramseycounty.us/coronavirus for all of that information. Two quick updates from me, and then I'll turn it over to the public health team. Just as a reminder of an email that you would have received on Friday, the incident management team continues to evolve based on current need, capacity, and where we stand in terms of our emergency response. And so as of last week, we began to move from weekly to bi-weekly. We began to demobilize certain sections while actually continuing to sustain and ramp up areas like finance and public health. So we've moved from a planning and logistics area for the broad stand-up at the beginning of our mobilization effort a year ago to where now we're much more focused on finance, planning, specifically around finance pieces, as well as vaccine and testing through public health. And that information was sent your way last week. Secondly, just wanted to highlight as well, on Friday, you received the first draft, or it was the first notice you received of the CARES evaluation reports that are now available. They're online at ramseycounty.us. And I look forward to bringing in each of these evaluations as independent discussions and workshops during coming weeks. There is so much good work that was done in the evaluations, and more importantly, the work that was being evaluated. And it shows where Ramsey County has been strong. It shows where we have opportunities to learn from our implementation of CARES funding. And it also then provides better information as we think about the American Rescue Plan, and quite frankly, our continued service delivery changes going forward. So huge thanks to all of our evaluation team, to everyone in the incident management team who was a part of the evaluation. I dare say it is probably the most robust evaluation of CARES of any local government you're going to find. I have yet to see anyone else that has taken it on to that degree, and that's a testament to the professionalism and commitment to transparency from so many staff here in the county. So thank you for those two updates. I'm going to turn it over to Incident Commander Laura Anderson.
Thank you, County Manager. Chair Carter, Commissioners, I am happy to share some information with you all in an edited fashion around COVID-19 and our work over the past 2 weeks. So first off, I just want to remind you that our planning and communications colleagues work very closely to keep our open data portal COVID update up to date. And you will see, if you take a look at the open data portal, our situation report there clearly shows an increase in COVID-19 cases. We do continue to see the lowest weekly and cumulative case rate in the metro, but we're in a place right now where we need to be very cautious. A convenience sample of testing from our partners over at Roy Wilkins indicates a rising rate of positivity. we're also seeing increasing numbers of hospitalization, non-ICU hospitalization among folks across the metro. I'm going to pass the mic now to Dr. Ogawa to explain why we may be seeing those increasing case numbers.
County Manager, Chair Carter, Commissioners, thanks for having us here. Incident Commander Laura is passing me the mic to talk about the negatives, and then I'll move on to the positives. So we are seeing rising rates, not just in Ramsey County, but across the state as well. And it is very much likely related to the British variant, or B117. It is at least 50% more infectious than the previous variants. And that's what's so worrisome. We do know that the previous mitigation efforts work against transmission. And so the importance of masking, staying 6 feet apart, and being immunized, because we also know that that our vaccines work well against this variant, is exceptionally important. The state's reporting about probably, and it's an estimate, but 50% of our cases statewide are this new variant, and I would expect that that's the same in Ramsey County as well. We know that individuals are feeling sort of COVID fatigue, which is different than COVID fog, but it's COVID fatigue. And with the news of increased vaccination, people are happy to get rid of masks. However, it's so much more important right now, given the more infectious variants, that we're following the same recommendations that we have been throughout this pandemic. We know that individuals who are COVID positive now are also feeling tired of being interviewed, so they are declining interviews for contact investigation, which is worrisome because that's how we also maintain an eye on where outbreaks are occurring. We also know that we're seeing case expansion in situations like bars and restaurants, because we are opening up some more, also schools and other congregate settings, because again, this virus is so much more contagious. Now I get to talk about the positives. First and foremost, I am exceptionally proud about our correctional health division and what they've done, and we are beginning to vaccinate with Johnson & Johnson, Janssen within corrections. We are using it primarily because for those individuals who are with us for less than 28 days, it's much easier and better for them to have the full vaccination, which is a single vaccination. In addition to that, we are talking with, our health staff is meeting with each inmate and talking to them about the pros and the cons of getting vaccinated, and also asking them, if they choose not to be vaccinated right now, why not? Which I think is going to be really important information as we continue to refine our public health message to all individuals about why it's important to be vaccinated and why they may choose to be or not to be vaccinated. Additional positive news, I'm sure everybody saw in the news yesterday that Ramsey County and the State Fairgrounds will be the site of a large, very large federal site through FEMA. So we'll be hosting a federal vaccination site starting April 14th. The site will be delivering up to 3,000 doses per day for the next 8 weeks after the 14th. Some of those are earmarked specifically for us to take out into the community, which is even more exciting for us, because we know we want to get to those hardest to reach individuals, and we are. The selection was based on the counties within Ramsey and Hennepin with the highest social vulnerability index, and as well as our outreach to communities, as Ramsey County's outreach into the communities. So, as it's unusual, but I get to end on a positive note and then turn it back to Incident Commander Laura Anderson.
Thank you, Dr. Oak. So yeah, it is time for us to be doing some deep work. We are really excited about the opportunity to have those additional doses from our federal partners. We believe we'll have access to Pfizer as well as Johnson & Johnson Janssen. What that does is it allows folks to have a little bit more flexibility in terms of which vaccine they would like. And I truly am excited to do more mobile clinics. We've had some great experiences so far. We just hit, I believe, the 1 month anniversary of our existing mobile clinic work. We have an established program with local churches. We have increased our outreach to include local mosques and cultural centers. And we're planning right now with the deaf and hard of hearing communities. So we're really looking forward to getting more vaccine out to community centers for folks who are unable to attend the state-run site at the fairgrounds. For the coming week, we expect to administer about 3,500 doses. I know that sounds a little slow, but we are very impressed with the velocity of shots that's now available through other modalities. We're seeing a lot more access to shots from medical providers, federally qualified health centers, as well as our local pharmacies. So what we need to do right now is shift and make sure that we continue to reach folks who are most at risk, folks who don't have access to transit, folks who don't have access to health insurance, folks who don't have a typical healthcare provider. Those will be the audiences that we will continue to serve throughout the summer months. Just like at the end of March, when we shifted out of 2 relatively large sites, one in St. Paul and one in suburban Ramsey County, we will be shifting again from an additional suburban site and looking to refocus those vaccines and those staff into areas where we continue to see that case rate increasing. We're really excited to learn from our federal and state partners with this new program at the state fairgrounds, but we want to continue to honor our relationships and our agreements locally. We're in a new phase of this response, and I think our data is starting to show it. I am going to pass the mic now to our colleague in planning, Tommy Godwin, and she's going to reveal to you a new dashboard which shows vaccines administered by public health staff in Ramsey County. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Joining me at the podium is Christine Grill, who is our coordinator for the Open Data Portal. And I'm just here to give you a little update about how we represent our COVID data, particularly our vaccine doses administered. And this would not be possible without the help of Christine and our Open Data Portal platform that we use to display data here at Ramsey County. So the same data that we've been presenting to you in recent weeks of vaccine doses administered will be here present on the dashboard. At the top of the page, it includes the overall Ramsey County residents vaccinated. This is a number we received from Minnesota Department of Health and maintained both here and as its own widget on the COVID case data dashboard. And then as we proceed this week, there's an overlap. So the link you have been using to view the table of vaccine doses administered is still live, and we will transition over the coming week to display this data here on our graphic dashboard instead. As we proceed down the page, we'll give the usual update about how many vaccine doses have we administered and clinics have we held, and then tell you a little bit about how many people are getting vaccinated through Ramsey County's local efforts in vaccine dose administration. So you'll see the chart of vaccine doses by week. This replaces the table we had been displaying before. And then as you proceed down the page, who is getting vaccinated, we're working on the transparency and accountability that you heard from Laura about around better outreach to communities of color, better outreach to, we hope, further demographics in the future that will be able to query our data and hold ourselves accountable to those populations. So then a little bit about the data you're seeing here. Our vaccine uptake for specific populations has improved over the past month. As of March 1st, white residents represented 76.2% of all persons receiving doses. As of April 1st, they represent 71.6% of all doses given. For our Asian residents, vaccine uptake appears to have risen from 8.9% to 12.3% during the same period of time, as has Latina uptake from about 5% to 6.3%. We still have a lot of work to do to connect our local tribal communities to shots, as well as support our Black and African American residents in getting shots. Both of those rates have remained static during that time. But we're ready for it. We're excited to keep moving forward. I'm very excited to rise to this challenge of displaying the data. We're having to put together quite a number of data sources and try to keep up with this challenge of holding ourselves accountable. Christine, do you have anything to add?
No, just Chair and Council. I appreciate working for a data-driven county and data-driven management and having the opportunity to build interesting things for folks.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thanks to Dr. Ogawa and Laura and Tommy for their work here in the public health space, for Christine and her work on the data side of how we can visually depict our information and show where progress continues to need to be made and where progress has been made. We would stand for any questions that you have on any topic related to vaccines, incident management, testing, or anything in between.
You're on mute, but I was reading your lips. I think you called on me, so thank you. Thank you for a great update. I just wanted to share that I had the opportunity last week to go to one of our vaccine clinics at the Hamlin High Rise and spent time there with staff and community as they're getting their vaccines. And I have to just give a tremendous shout out. Our staff has been working long hours, as we know, for a year between testing and the shifting to vaccine. And Carol Ramirez and Mark Jackson have been doing a phenomenal job leading those teams, both in community and large sites. And I know we've said it before, but statewide, it's known as the Ramsey County model. We are doing such a fantastic job and really working in community. And the corrections nurses and fire department and local paramedics that have partnered to make sure that we're giving out vaccines is really extraordinary. And to see the community so grateful and engaged and sharing that they're just feeling like we're really putting them first is a tremendous effort. And I want to congratulate all of the staff. You know, they worked through the whole weekend to include Easter Sunday, where they were vaccinating Korean elders. I mean, our staff is going above and beyond, as well are our volunteers. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone who continues to do this work and encourage others to get their vaccines. I do have one question, and this is, you know, we're kind of in the shift of more vaccines, but we still have risky variants. And I didn't know if Dr. Ogawa might be able to speak to, you know, what we think as the county has been. I think we're more forward-looking than other places in Minnesota. We're doing such a great job, but what is our goal to get to herd immunity in Ramsey County look like?
And Madam Chair, as Dr. Ogawa ponders that large question as she walks up to the mic, I can see got her wheels turning. I do want to point out, too, that the B117 variant, and we've had a few localized outbreaks even within our own organization still, and that remains an issue. I cannot tell you that they are for sure B117, but if we were to guess, that's what we are assuming it will come back and be. And it has been a reminder over the last 7 days that we are far from done with COVID. Dr. Ogawa?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Commissioner Menes-Castillo, there is not a magic number necessarily, especially because the general sense is that you want to see at least 65 to 70% of a population vaccinated. That includes everyone, including children. And we will not likely be seeing children being vaccinated until fall to begin with. The other issue is that it depends on if we see variants that are not being adequately covered by the vaccine too. Because then essentially without boosters, those of us who are vaccinated would sort of essentially go back under the level of not being vaccinated, or at least inadequately vaccinated. So I don't have a magic number other than everyone, just, but that's sort of where we need to be. It's also really difficult, you know, we don't all stay within our lines, jurisdictional lines, right, either. And especially the fact that we border another state, it's really tough. And many of our folks who work within our jurisdiction don't necessarily live in our jurisdiction. So, yeah, outside of all more than what we have now. Sorry.
Okay,
Commissioner Carter.
thank you so much. Can you hear me? Commissioner McGuire.
I was trying to read lips as well, but I was like thinking I was next. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the whole Ramsey County team for all of your work. I echo Commissioner Hermatis Castillo's thanks just for all the tireless efforts that you're making to get our residents vaccinated. So I really appreciate that. I'll just say that our family's, you know, getting vaccinated, you know, more and more, and we had planned a small outdoor Easter little, just with one family, and it turns out my 3-year-old nephew had COVID. So, you know, kids are still getting this, and people, you know, so we just had to, of course, I was so grateful that that they had tested him and that they told us before we got there. But, you know, so we stopped that party. But I just want to encourage people to know that this is still out there, and that, you know, you think you're being safe, you think you're going to do stuff outside, and you just never know. Now, thank heavens we knew that was happening, so we didn't go. But anyway, I'm just hopeful that we get this out as fast as possible, as I know we are, and just to encourage people to continue to be safe, because you just don't know about who else might have this. Anyway, I do have a question for Dr. Ogawa, or whoever might be able to give insight in this, and if you could just shed a little more light. When we talk about a mass vaccination clinic at the state fair, this is not an open vaccination clinic, right? I just want to affirm and just remind people that this is for people in certain zip codes and for people of this is for communities that we really want to target. And so are people going to get a note to say they can come? I mean, it's not for people to come and wait in line, right? I'm just imagining lots of lines at the state fair for people wanting to get this vaccine. Could you clarify that one another time about who is able to get the state fair, who is able to be available for that at the fair? Because otherwise I'm worried they'll go there and then be turned away, and I'm just not sure what that protocol is going to be.
Chair Carter, Commissioner McGuire, I would like to answer that question. Yeah, so the State Fairgrounds vaccine site will be appointment only. What that means is if you're a person in Ramsey County or Hennepin County who lives in a series of zip codes, you need to make sure that you're signed up for the Vaccine Connector. That's the state web portal that we've been talking about for a while now. The state will go ahead and review zip codes of folks who have already signed up through the connector, and they will send them an invitation to the site. It will remain appointment only. There are lots of good reasons for that, including just the safety of participants. We don't want to see big crowds of folks who are not vaccinated coming together. It's 8 weeks long, 7 days a week, so there should be plenty of opportunity for folks in Ramsey and Hennepin County to get vaccinated during that time.
Thank you for that. And then once we get through all the zip codes, will you be opening it up to more zip codes, or do you think that it'll be just those zip codes for those 8 weeks?
Commissioner McGuire, I asked that question of a state colleague just yesterday. I think there may be opportunities for additional folks to get vaccinated through that large site. So I look forward to seeing some flexibility around, residences. my experience with existing vaccine clinics is we're relying on folks to self-report, if they have a health condition or live in a specific zip code. We're not going to ask for verification. We're going to trust people on their word and help them get vaccinated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McGuire. Commissioner Reinhardt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This work is pretty amazing, and seeing how all across our county, the volunteers, the staff have just been really pulling together. And it's truly, as I think others have stated, it is a model of how to do things, and trying to get the message out about the importance of still wearing masks. And all you have to do is look at those statistics on the variant and realize that indeed we are not through this yet, but it does feel, I think one of the differences is the hope that is also in the air. So we will move forward with that. I had asked in previous weeks about how the reporting is done, and I just want to confirm, or affirm, I guess, the fact that it doesn't matter where you get the shot. I would assume probably across Minnesota. If you are a Ramsey County resident, it is reported under Ramsey County numbers. And so the same thing goes for people that are getting vaccinated in Ramsey County that don't live in Ramsey County, I would assume. So, but I want to make sure that that has not changed, because there are so many different avenues right now to get an appointment that it seems like it might be at times difficult to know where people are from, and so that we can figure out exactly what's going on in our own county, in our own community. So that is my first question.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Reinhardt, we can confirm with head nods here that yes, county of residence is how the data is tracked. It's one of the drop-down fields when registering for the vaccine, and so that's how the state's database is tracking it.
Thank you. And then I really appreciate, I was concerned about, looking at all the zip codes, and you can see how this is being targeted, but I was concerned that there would be an added layer of, are you sure that you can be here, kind of thing. And granted, we need to make sure that we are completing all the information as we can, but this is quite a big deal, as we all know, to have the FEMA site located here. But one thing to look at also, even if you're not in that zip code, the fact that people have this we have this mass vaccination site, meaning individual appointments, and just a number per day, that opens up other locations within or near Ramsey County in the metro area for those that don't live in those particular zip code areas. So it's a win-win for everyone, and I'm really pleased that we were chosen to have that site there. So thank you. Good work to everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ortega?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Few of my questions have already been answered, but I've got a couple of more. First of all, thank you to everybody for the great work. And it's good news that we're having the vaccination center as a state fair. And I have a couple of precincts in my district that qualify for that. But I also think of my neighbors in those precincts, West Side, downtown, and one other, I believe. And they're not going to make it to the state fair. Transit is an issue. And their ability, when you have to make an appointment to get there exactly at that time, that's going to be an issue. It's not like you could be 15, 20 minutes late and, waiting somebody take you. So my question number one is, how prevalent is it? But one thing that is close to is like the Walgreens and the CVS's. And are they all providing the vaccination? I know some are, but I'm wondering if all of them are. That's question number one. The second question is, how young could children be vaccinated? Some of my constituents have asked me how young does a child have to be vaccinated? Or how old, or, depending on how you want to phrase it. And the other question is sort of my question, and that is, how many variants are we seeing? And is one truly at this stage going to be the dominant one, or do we have, 2 or 3 in the queue that could infect us?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Ortega, we'll take the questions in reverse order. Dr. Ogawa, if you could start on the variant question.
Yeah, so the variants, so there are 3 main variants that the CDC has identified as concerning, that they have published, so to speak. There are a number, thousands actually, of other variants being monitored throughout the states and the world that are variants of interest. So right now, like I mentioned, B117, which is has been previously called the British variant, is the one that was identified in the UK initially, is probably more than 50% of our cases right now. So in terms of the most cases that we're seeing, they are probably that. The state and the CDC cannot genome sequence every positive test. It's just impossible. And so what they're doing is they're using a targeted testing. So when an outbreak is identified, and if there is a certain number of cases, or if it looks like transmission occurred easier, they will genome sequence one or a handful of those cases. They have to obtain the sample though, and so it's easier if the sample's been processed through MDH to begin with. And like I said, they can, sorry, I may have mentioned previously, I may not have, I forget who I talked to and when sometimes, but the state can only sequence about 5 to 7% of our samples right now. And then a smaller percent is also sent to the CDC. They're working with Mayo and UMN, University of Minnesota, to be able to sequence up to about 10% of our samples, but that's the greatest we'll get, and will be actually significantly higher than many other states. So it's difficult for us to know for sure. The B117 is concerning because it's 50% more infectious, and it causes worse disease. In the beginning, they didn't feel this was the case, but in fact, we have now good data that shows that more individuals need to be hospitalized, more individuals may or may not need ICU care as well. So the good news is that the vaccines have equivalent protection to the original variant. The other 2 main variants that we're watching right now are one that was identified in Brazil and one that was identified in South Africa. We have seen the South African variant here, under 10 cases, but the concern about that one is that we don't believe that the vaccines are as protective against it. And so it is about 25% more infectious, so it has sort of a double whammy potentially. And then also the Brazilian as well. We've had under 5 cases of the Brazilian variant identified. But again, I'm going to mention that there are at least 3 other known variants from the US, many out of California, and some out of other areas. And many of our cases of variants start with travel. Not just travel out of the US, but travel within the US. And so travel is a very still concerning behavior. Welcome to spring break.
Dr. Ogawa, could you quickly answer the second question on the 3 vaccines currently available in the market in the US and the age cutoff thresholds?
Yes. Johnson & Johnson and Moderna are 18 and over. Pfizer is 16 and over. We do expect some data on Moderna and Pfizer for the 12 to either 16 or 12 to 18 age range, probably in the fall.
And so we do anticipate that 16 plus is eligible for vaccinations, although only the Pfizer vaccine is available. And for example, the Ramsey County vaccine sites do not have Pfizer. So it is dependent upon site and right now in supply, although we're anticipating a ramp up in that space as more vaccines are allowed to serve youth.
The FEMA federal site will have Pfizer, and so 16 and up for the federal site will likely be, is the case.
And then on the final question, I'll invite Laura back up to help. I'll start on the question about access and the piece around, so up to potentially a third of the doses a day that will be at the state fairgrounds at the FEMA site are actually available to be deployed into the community for the reasons Commissioner Ortega cited in the question. They are not required to stay at the state fairground, and this is where partnerships with local public health mean a great deal. And when finalizing the agreement with Ramsey County to be the site, this was partly why they chose the place that they did, was the connections into community. Laura, could you speak a little bit to the part about availability at different pharmacies around the region?
Yeah, absolutely, County Manager O'Connor. I would head over to Find My Vaccine, MDH's website that clearly lists pharmacy availability for vaccine. I recognize that it's still all appointment only, but I am aware that we have CVS and Walgreens in our community within walking distance of a lot of locations downtown who do have vaccine available on a daily basis. So I'm happy about that. And I'm also happy that we'll be able to push out more vaccine through our own mobile clinic efforts starting in mid-April.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. That wraps up our questions. I'm going to turn back, thanking all of you for the updates and responses, to County Manager O'Connor for final comments on our update.
Madam Chair, we've entered an important phase where we have tools to be able to tame and at some point hopefully beat this virus, but we are not done with the need to take every precaution in the meantime, both as an organization and as a community, to ensure that we can tame the spread as quickly as possible so the vaccine can get out into the community and do its job. Thank you.
And thank you very much. Appreciating the COVID information and, of course, the caution. At the wrap up, we are going to take a moment, a mindfulness moment, so that we can focus our energies, understanding the crises, traumas, and emergencies that we have been in the midst of, the opportunity to move through at this point in time with appreciation for caring staff and community working together. So just a moment for our mindfulness. Thank you. And of course, we continue to practice that mindfulness as we move forward in all of the work that we do. We have our administrative items before us. I'll call on Commissioner McDonough to take us through. Commissioner?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll move item number 5, award from, hold on one second, there we go. Item number 5, award from the State of Minnesota Department of Human Services for preschool development grant.
Full.
Item number 6, joint powers agreement with City of St. Paul for multi-jurisdictional emergency rental assistance tenant application program. Item number 7, terms of a collective bargaining agreement with Law Enforcement Labor Services number 184, commanders for the new year 2021. Item number 8, 2021 Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Unified Local Youth Plan. I think I'll pull that one just to recognize the work on that. Item number 9, permanent and temporary construction easements with the City of Maplewood at Fish Creek Open Space. Item number 10, Badness Snail Lake Regional Park Master Plan Amendment. Item number 11, contract with Sheehy Construction Company for the Metro Square Building Escalator Staircase Removal Installation Project. Item number 12, project labor agreements for Public Works 2021 construction and pavement preservation projects. Item number 13, amendment to the administrative code. Hold on here, I just lost my computer. Item number 13, amendment to the administrative code to reflect enterprise risk management functions and establishing authorities for claims. Item number 14, designation of depositories and delegation to make electronic funds transfers. Item number 15, January 2021 report of contracts, grant and revenue agreements, emergency purchases, sole source, single source purchases, and final payments. And that gets us to the administrative agenda, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you very much for the motion and for the second. A number of items have been pulled. Let me just reiterate item number 5, item number 8, number 10, and number 13 have been pulled. So this motion is on the items not pulled. 6, 7, 9, 11, 12, and 14, and 15. The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on those items? Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
McDonough,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Reinhardt,
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Modis Castillo,
Aye.
Carter.
Aye. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask for your help. I'm moving to item number 5. That is the award from the State of Minnesota Department of Human Services for preschool development grant. That was pulled.
Yes, I'd like to move item 5.
And I'll second it, Madam Chair.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. I'll call on Commissioner Fretham.
Thank you. I just wanted to pull this because this is such an exciting opportunity. As Commissioner McGuire and I have been participating in the Child Care Policy Action Group Subcommittee as trying to determine our role to respond to COVID in regards to ensuring childcare infrastructure is maintained and hopefully grown so that we can reopen our economy. This presents a huge opportunity for us to really reimagine how families access childcare services. And I am most proud of the work that was done in developing the grant proposal in coordination with the community to ensure that the proposal we put forward really met the need that existed. And what we hear most often, and what I heard previously in previous roles, was because our system has become very many different funding streams, many different programs exist that can support families, it's very challenging to navigate. So having a coach, a culturally responsive family coach to help ensure that families know what options are out there, know what supports are out there, and are able to find a child care solution that meets their family needs is really essential to deal with the existing system. But I don't think it alleviates our roles as policymakers and advocates to continue to build a system that's just easier to navigate in general. So excited for this opportunity, grateful for our staff who put this forward and for the work of our community members who helped really inform this process.
So thank you so very much for highlighting this preschool development grant. I also see Commissioner Mary Jo McGuire and would like to call on Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Commissioner Fretham said it really well. I'm glad we pulled it so that it would get the recognition and gratitude that it deserves. This is such an amazing step forward, as Commissioner Fretham said. Our county has long supported early childhood, but this is a really visible and concrete and substantive way to show that. And just with the coaches, we're meeting community where they're at with our development of it, as Commissioner Fretham said. We worked with community on it. Our navigators are going to be instrumental in this, and it's just such great work. We're meeting our families where they're at, and we're meeting them, the families with the youngest children who are our greatest hope, and so it really is exciting. So just thanks to everyone who had a part in putting this together, and I know that our North Suburban Family Collaborative had a part in that, and just all the work that was done on this. So thank you all, and I'm just excited that we're moving forward with this. It's the first step. I think we have a lot of work to do, but this is a really great way to start.
It is exciting to take this first step. Thank you to the two of you for your work leaning in on all our behalf to see this move forward. So we have the motion and the second and have appreciated your comments. Is there any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
McDonough? McDonough?
I know he had lost his computer a little earlier.
Yeah, can you
There
hear
he
me is.
now?
Or okay,
Yes.
yeah. I actually lost power to my house, so I'm relying on cellular service and battery life here. So hopefully this gets me at least through the meeting here, or we get power back quickly. But aye.
Thank you.
Aye. Thank you. The
McGuire?
things that happen.
McGuire?
Go ahead.
Aye.
Ortega?
Aye.
Reinhardt?
Aye.
Fretham?
Aye.
Modis Castillo?
Aye.
Carter?
Aye. Thank you. And so the resolution on the preschool development grant has passed, and we are moving on to item number 8, our 2021 Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Unified Local Youth Plan. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I would move that, please.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you for the motion and the second. Calling on Commissioner McDonough.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment to pull this. There's just been so much going on in workforce solutions over the past year with all the COVID, all the federal funding, state funding, but then they've also been able to do their day-to-day work. And I see Ling's on the phone. We're on the call here. I just wanted to give Ling an opportunity to briefly talk about this and the work that went into this plan and what it means to the community. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you.
Commissioner McDonough. Madam Chair, Commissioners, this is an annual plan that we bring before the board as a way to accept our federal and state funding for our workforce services, for our youth programs. We did make a recent pivot this past year that's going to be reflected in this new plan, where we'll be fully contracting out our youth employment services within Ramsey County. In the upcoming year, we're also talking a lot about coordination between our departments. You'll see that in the plan, there's a lot of work around, foster care youth or homeless youth, trying to figure out all the different connections within our county systems as to how to leverage dollars and supports when it comes to workforce services as well. So this was a big lift on behalf of our department. Thank you, Commissioner McDonough, the Workforce Board, as well as our Youth Committee of our Workforce Board to help lead this work. We look forward to continuing to serve youth during a very critical time. We also, as part of our CARES funding, and this is kind of embedded in some of these learnings of our ongoing work as we look forward, is we served over 3,000 youth and young adults during that very short period with CARES funding. And I know County Manager O'Connor mentioned that we'll have a chance to talk about those CARES evaluations with the board at a date very near in the future. And so we'll be leaning on those learnings as we continue to execute against this plan. So thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. Commissioner McDonough, thank you so much for highlighting this work and really appreciate the overview from our director, Ling Becker. It is certainly an opportunity to see the work move forward in a new way this coming year. And as we make the pivot, we just want to thank and appreciate all who have been doing this work, the learnings that we'll take forward with us so that we carry the very best opportunity for all of our youth. Thank you so very much. And are there any further comments? Will the clerk please call the roll?
McDonough?
Aye.
McGuire?
Aye.
Ortega?
Aye.
Reinhardt?
Aye.
Fretham,
Aye.
Modis Castillo,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye, and thank you very much. The motion on our Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Youth Plan has passed. And we're moving on to item number 10, the Badness Snail Lake Regional Park Master Plan Amendment. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Thank you.
Second. Okay.
Thank you very much. There is a motion and a second. I'm thinking that, okay, it was Commissioner Fretham, calling on Commissioner Fretham.
Thank you. This project has been a big lift, and I'm so glad to see Mark McCabe here on the call. There's been a lot of work in the community on this project. This park is really important up here in District 1, and a lot of folks have been concerned about the limitations to park usage due to high water levels. Throughout this process, there's been consistent engagement with the community, although there are still continued questions on what the master plan amendment means, particularly around proposals in Wetland A for boardwalks. And in several conversations with our park staff, my understanding is that the proposed areas for boardwalks are just places where boardwalks could be installed if necessary, but that any future installation will be dependent on existing conditions and needs and will undergo evaluations and be using any updated data about water levels and expected water levels, especially as our Ramsey Washington Metro Watershed District has been working really hard to make downstream improvements to help water flow better through this area. But I'm hoping Mark McCabe can also speak to that and the role of ongoing community engagement and how decisions will be made and communicated before boardwalks are constructed.
Okay. Thank you very much, Commissioner Fretham. And I do hear Director McCabe.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners and Commissioner Fretham. I do want to quickly acknowledge Gus Plummer, who's on the call as well. He's the landscape architect at Parks and Recreation and project manager for this project, and has spent countless hours and over a course of several years trying to work through all of the complexities here, because it is very complex, the situation. And yes, this master plan amendment goes into, I guess, more detail than I think what a typical master plan amendment would do because of the complexity. But Gus is sending me updates right now even and letting me know that, yes, we will, when we move into an implementation plan, which would happen after the master plan approval, then that would trigger another round of engagement, essentially with these agencies, the watershed district, the citizens, bar engineering, and so that would be a whole other process to look at current conditions on the site, to go through an actual implementation, planning, design phase that then would address the situation as it is today. But yeah, we are trying to build a resilient system, be wise with these investments, and make sure that once we have something in place, it's going to stand the test of time and be an investment that is helpful for the long term.
Thank you very much, Director McCabe. And Commissioner Fretham.
Yes, I wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate this, you being here to confirm that, and the work that you and Gus and the team have done over the last year to respond to concerns and to address those issues. There's a lot of really good stuff in this plan that folks are very excited about, and I think just the ongoing concern is about that Wetland A area and how do we maintain a park structure that people love, especially because it feels so wild and natural. So I thank you for that and for confirming ongoing engagement before any implementation moves forward.
Thank you to you both for sharing the features and nuances and looking forward to the next steps. I also see Commissioner McGuire. Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to be a part of the tag team of Commissioner Fretham and myself this morning here. I'm going to just tag on to her my gratitude for this work. Her office and Parks and Rec have just done a great job. I will tell you that this is a regional park in my district. I know all of our districts have people that use this trail system, and that we've been hearing a lot about it and are just grateful for this movement forward, because a lot of bikers, walkers, and park users come from all over the county to use this amazing asset. So I know you've been working with parts of my district, with the city of Little Canada. I know Roseville's right there, and we are just grateful that this work is being done, and just look forward to it being used by many, many, many people. So thank you.
Once again, we appreciate so much your reflections as well. Want to thank Director McCabe for being here with us, and certainly send a shout out to Gus for all of the work, and all in Parks and Rec who have been focused on this master plan amendment. We look forward to hearing more. And now we have the item number 10 before us. Are there any further comments? Questions? Thank you. We're ready for the roll call.
McDonough?
Aye.
McGuire?
Aye.
Ortega?
Aye.
Reinhardt?
Aye.
Fretham?
Aye.
Miles Castillo?
Aye.
Carter?
Aye. Thank you very much. And that motion has passed. We're moving on to item number 13, the amendment to the administrative code to reflect enterprise risk management functions and establishing authority for claims. Is there motion?
So moved.
Move approval.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Calling on Commissioner Fretham.
Yes, I want to check with the county manager first to see if he wants to say anything, or if staff want to say anything about this proposal before I just raise my singular concern.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Fretham, thank you for the opportunity. I would direct people to the background and rationale for the full update. Sam Clark in the Civil Division, the new Civil Division lead in Ramsey County Director, and Jenny Grosskopf, our Enterprise Risk Manager and Finance, work together to codify in our administrative code tiers here in this proposed request for board action regarding various levels of settlement authority to align with industry standard and to ensure that we have the language laid out clearly in our administrative code. You can see we've had a gap over the past few years, and this takes care of that and makes it clear and predictable for the organization moving forward.
Thank you very much. And I will turn back to Commissioner Fretham.
Thank you. I just want to express my gratitude and strong belief that we absolutely need to get something codified in here, and that really appreciate folks calling attention to this gap in our administrative code and moving forward with something to close that and to really set down what our standards are for review. My concern is purely with the structure of the levels. I'm not opposed to the idea of a 3-tiered authority level. In theory, my concern is that the second tier, it doesn't feel like there's sufficient data to back up why it's set at that level. The initial level of 0 to 15,000 being resolved through staff makes sense with its alignment with small claims court claims. My concern is more that it doesn't appear that there is serious rationale behind the $30,000 mark. It doesn't provide significant administrative efficiency, since the data we have for the last 3 years, there have only been 2 claims that fall in this level. And it's not clear whether or not those claims are such that they wouldn't provide necessary information to us as a board about systemic needs or raise issues of policy concerns that we need to address. So for me, I don't know that I'm entirely comfortable with the idea of establishing a tier without the full rationale behind it. It may be that if we merely have a 2-tiered system for a period of time, we could gather data about what is the appropriate tiered level, and I would feel more comfortable saying the board doesn't need to be involved in those settlement decisions, because They don't provide data about systemic issues or policies we need to take, and that setting that level will provide sufficient or enhance administrative efficiency. But right now, based on the data I have, I don't feel entirely comfortable with that. So thank you.
And thank you very much for sharing your singular concern as you do. I certainly appreciate the work that has been done by administration and by our new risk manager and our attorney to set this process forward for us, and at the same time allow us questions regarding its structure and the opportunity to ensure that it meets our needs. We have before us the motion, or I should say the resolution as it is, with the 3 tiers. And I'm just going to turn to board members for comments as we reflect on the resolution before us today. I see no hands. Oh, yes, I do. I'm sorry. Commissioner McDonough. I'll call on Commissioner McDonough, then Commissioner McGuire.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. I just wanted to share with the board, and I do appreciate that we're actually taking action on this and at least having something within the administrative code. That's long overdue. But I want to share with the board that I was actually surprised at the dollar amounts and the tiering there. I expected us to be aligning with the authority that we've given the county manager at other areas. I know over the years, the authority we've given to the county manager or staff has been just really fragmented and different in so many areas. And, you know, starting with County Manager Kleinschmidt really trying to align those amounts so there was consistency on those amounts. And so I was actually surprised that the amounts were not in line with some of the authorities we've already given the county manager. Clearly, you know, as in any of those authorities, there's a checks and balances process with reports back to the board about, you know, contracts that have been signed or such. And in this case, certainly, you know, reports back to us about, you know, what has been signed off on. But I think the process, you know, the support here to move forward on these amounts is fine, but I think in the future, we might want to consider actually bringing these in line to the authority that we've given the county manager in other areas, which I believe is about $100,000 for most things now. Thanks, Madam Chair.
And thank you, Commissioner McDonough, for your comments in support then of moving ahead with the authorities that are here, but considering in the future stronger alignment across areas of authority. I will turn then to, and I just restated that to make sure I was hearing that properly. Thank you. I'll turn to Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I will just add my, let's say, my questions and my support to those of my colleagues. I support us doing something with this because I'm grateful that we're moving forward in some codification of this. I don't disagree that about that maybe these tiers aren't exactly what they should be, or, you know, 0 to 15 is fine, as Commissioner Fretham says, it aligns with the court, but with the court conciliation court. But the other ones are you know, estimates. And when I asked about that, you know, and I was wondering about this, we said, well, we'll use these, and then maybe we will, and then I think we should revisit this after we see how many there are. And I know Commissioner Fretham said there were 2 in that category, but I would like to see us revisit this, you know, in a year or so and take a look at it. I think it's a great idea what Commissioner McDonough said about aligning it to other authorities. I know I'm going to support this now just to get something on there, but we should continue to visit this, the settlement authority level. So I just wanted to add my thoughts to that I think that my colleagues bring up good points, and I'm willing to look at them, but I'm willing to learn about it, you know, over the next year or so.
I thank you, Commissioner McGuire. And I'll move to Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am supportive of this change and really looking at the volume. We're not talking about something that is an everyday, every month experience even. But I think that the level of authority here is appropriate. I especially appreciate getting the information from Jenny. I think that just came out yesterday. That gave us an overview of it from 2018, 19, and 2020. I mean, in 2020, there were 5 that were 0 to 15,000, 1 that was 15 to 30, and 1 that was 30 plus. And so the ones that we are talking about then, of course, are the first 2 as far as what would be taken off of our plates as everything coming to the county board. And that's the difference here, is what comes to us to give that authority. We're not talking about a high volume, but it is enough that I think with the system that's been put in place with the county attorney's office and risk assessment to be able to make these decisions and move forward. I think the other thing to keep in mind here is not only is the volume low, but it is, when you look at across the area, it seems to be consistent with what others are doing. But this isn't something, unless you want to revisit it every year, this is something that is going to be in place for quite a while. So, you know, just as 15,000 doesn't seem like very much right now, probably when it was put in place, it was a huge amount to be paid out. So this isn't, and we can change these things anytime, that is true. But the reality is there are so many things that are part of the administrative code that don't come to us all that often. And so I appreciate the work, and I know it has taken some time to get to what they feel is the appropriate balance here. I can tell you right now that I think it is different than the county manager's authority, because you are talking about tort claims rather than contracts, which can be pretty pro forma as you move forward. And so those amounts, I think, are legitimately higher, but I am comfortable with the tort settlement amounts that are listed here. And again, thanks, staff. I know that everyone knows how hard people work on this. So it's not about that. It's about, okay, what is that appropriate level? And right now I'm feeling I'm comfortable with this, especially with the data. Before I had the data, I wasn't all that sure because we didn't have the context to put it into, but with the numbers that we're looking at, it just makes sense to me to move forward with this amount. We can revisit it at any point. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Looking to the screen, I don't see additional hands up. I will just share that I truly appreciate also the request for the data and the information about our history in these settlements and their amounts. And I also very much appreciate the encouragement to focus on that data to make certain that our decisions around the amounts and authority here are based on our data, our experience, and also looking forward to how it should be aligned. Commissioner Fretham mentioned the comfort with the first level because of its alignment with the small claims courts and because of the limited amount of this activity that we see. I too am comfortable in moving forward as it is structured today, but keeping an eye on the data and requiring the reporting back, such as we will receive, so that we are able to reflect and make any adjustment as required based on our experience. Given that, I am going to vote in support of moving this forward today, but once again, with great appreciation for our attention to making certain that we do have the structure and the alignment that we need as we review our future experience. Looking again, I see no additional hands, but I do see Commissioner Fretham and Commissioner McDonough's hands still raised. I need to check with Commissioner Fretham.
Mine is a re-raise.
It's a re-raise? Good.
Yes, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to discuss this. I'll note that I haven't heard anything that assuages my concerns. The fact that it's a low level, that only 2 cases have fallen in this tier in the last 3 years is actually what I find problematic about it. That we don't know why those cases wouldn't need to come to us. We don't have that data. It doesn't provide significant administrative efficiency to say 2 extra meetings over the course of 3 years. And because these things get put in our administrative code and may not be reviewed again, I don't necessarily feel comfortable not knowing that this will come back to us. Whereas I think not implementing a middle tier based on, an assumption but not tied to our data or our purposes doesn't feel comfortable to me. So I won't be supporting the proposal today, and I completely understand folks have different opinions. I just don't feel comfortable agreeing to a tier when I don't know or have sufficient information about what this tier really provides to us and what we may be missing by not hearing information about those cases that we're settling.
Thank you for your final comment on that. Also, Commissioner Fretham. Commissioner Reinhardt, I believe you have raised your hand.
Yes, I just wanted to point out, especially for those that are listening, that this is specific to the tort claim values and those particular issues, because we do have many things that come before us that are less than this amount because they have some controversy or policy decisions that are associated with them. So I don't want people to think that if it's under 30,000 that we don't pay attention to it, because we do. And so this is a very specific and narrow group of claims. And so I just wanted to make sure that that was understood.
Thank you. Thank you once again. I have Jenny's hand up, and I want to be sure that before we move this, before we take action on this resolution, we hear from Jenny, who is our risk management person. So Jenny, and would you please give the title? No, it's not risk management person. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for an opportunity to weigh in on things. I just wanted to add, by way of clarification, perhaps, particularly for Commissioner Fretham's concerns, that the third tier is more a reflection of our trying to capture best practices and benchmarking at a level that I saw with the other counties in the metro area. Particularly Anoka and Hennepin both have a $25,000 level before it goes to the board. And so that third level was a way for us to capture, that same trending in terms of value-wise, and yet add in a level that, elevated things beyond my position with formal title, Chair Carter, as Enterprise Risk Manager, and Sam Clark as our Civil Department Director. We wanted to add another level that elevated things, beyond the two of us and to the county manager and Alex as our chief financial officer. But that was really where we were going with, that third level was just capturing, that monetary value of 30,000. Could have been reflected in 2 tiers, certainly. But this was just a reflection that after talking through it, and certainly it's a reflection of the fact that both Sam and I are, fairly new to our roles here at Ramsey County. And as is a reflection of the fact that I wasn't able to get this data to you until yesterday. We're still, onboarding and becoming familiar with all things Ramsey County and trending. And the 3 levels just was our best feel for what gives us the flexibility to do things, empower, the staff that we put in certain positions to do things without having to take the additional time it takes to elevate things, nor burden the board with things that we felt are handled by staff in other roles. So just wanted to interject that for any clarification that may offer.
And Madam Chair, if I could add one piece from the chambers, if that's all right.
Yes, please. Thank you.
I just wanted to add the part on the reporting side. I think that's important and it came up in the conversation. So the tort liability report has been prepared annually, as commissioners would know, by the civil division and gone to the board. But through this process, enhancing what gets reported and how has been another part of the work. And I want to underpin that because it's important to the discussion had here today from all commissioners. We need to bring that work back. We're working to apply better lenses to understand demographic data when possible, to understand the equity implications of where we're seeing liability claims, how they're being settled, what that looks like. And so my commitment to the board today as well is that it doesn't stop with just an administrative code piece, that it actually follows through in terms of the reporting mechanism and the follow-up conversation to ensure we get at much of the meat of the conversation here today.
Thank you for those additional comments. I have Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It was like County Manager O'Connor read my mind. It was me wondering, what can we put in place so that we can see this data on a more regular basis? And then maybe we don't need to have it part of this resolution, but I would like to have that, have us receive, greater documentation. And I hear that County Manager has committed to doing that. So however we make sure that that happens, I support that.
Thank you very much. And again, we've heard from the county manager and had the expectation, and we'll be following up on that reporting together so that we are able to sufficiently review and make decisions based on the vote that we will take today. Are there any further comments? If not, then we are on the motion. And we will ask the clerk to call the roll on item number 10, was it? I'm sorry, on item number 13, amendment to the administrative code. Would the clerk please call the roll?
McDonough?
Aye.
McGuire?
Aye.
Ortega?
Aye.
Reinhardt?
Aye.
Fretham?
No.
Mas Castillo?
Aye.
Carter?
Aye. And thank you very much for that vibrant discussion and the opportunity to see this work moving forward and to analyze it, reflect, and modify as necessary together. The motion passes. Let's see, that is the last item pulled and represents the end of our administrative agenda, with all items having been moved forward. We're going to move on to our legislative update. We have county connections from the county manager and then our outside board and committee reports. I want to ensure that members are aware that we also have a special presentation of an award that we have saved for good reason for the end of our meeting. And so we'll make certain that we get to that as swiftly as we possibly can before moving on then to a workshop this morning as well. I'm going to call on Commissioner McGuire for our legislative update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just as I like to always start by thanking our team of Commissioner Matas Castillo, myself, Jenna O'Rourke and Melissa Finnegan, who are doing such great work. Even though the legislature was off last week, there was still a lot of things being done. And so there was a lot of work behind the scenes, and I know that they were working hard. So this week is the third deadline. And so they're working on their omnibus bills, the bills that have passed out of both the House and Senate now, and they're working on those. So, but they have to finish that by this Friday. It does not apply to bonding or tax bills, so those will still be pending. A number of you are testifying on bills. I know, Chair Carter, you're going to talk on the Senate transportation package, which unfortunately guts transit by taking money from the Met Council budget and also contains the governor's budgeting shift to counties, which is really detrimental to our transit work. So the House version is better, and you're going to be testifying on that as well, Madam Chair. So thank you for that. We are grateful that the House is trying to help us out, but it is that's a really tough issue is that we would get the transit burden placed on counties solely. So this morning, Capital Investment Committee met at 8:30. I'm happy to see that Mark McCabe was on our call, so he must have testified before he got on our board call. he testified in support of Parks funding bonding bill and Representative Lilly's committee. So we're grateful for that. And then also Chad Roberts testified on Gibbs Farm and Dakota Life legislation. So thanks to both of them for their work. Representative Mariani is introducing our River's Edge bill today. Thanks to all of you who are working on that. Commissioner Ortega, Commissioner McDonough, all of us who are working on that. He's also carrying the Hmong American Partnership Transfer Technical Bill, which is being heard on Thursday, and Commissioner McDonough, I believe, is testifying on that. So the House and Senate are, as I said, taking up the omnibus bills and really on a fast pace. So a lot of work was done last week, and now they're hearing them in one day, working on them a second day, passing them a third day. So it's a really fast track on the bills. On the federal front, we're awaiting guidance from the Treasury on the American recovery monies. And there's a new NACO update today, if anyone is available to do that, on the infrastructure bill, the T&I, they call it transportation and infrastructure, that they're focusing on. So there's a lot going on at the federal level, and we're still waiting for guidance on much of it. So with that, Madam Chair, if anyone else wants to talk about what they're working on, I know that a number of you are working hard on this legislation, and would welcome you to comment on anything else you're working on.
Thank you so much. Looking to the screen, and I do see a hand up from Commissioner Reinhardt. Commissioner Reinhardt.
I just want to say how truly impressed I am with how quickly our staff, whether it's in the environmental area, the equity, climate change, transit, it doesn't matter which area it is in. When we need to have a letter submitted or testimony prepared, getting us in the queue, they are so on top of everything. It is truly impressive. And I think that an example of that was when Commissioner Matas Castillo and I participated in the Unheard Voices, Asian Americans Experiencing Hate. And that was on, I think, on a Wednesday. And by Thursday afternoon, we had a letter in support of the anti-hate crime, closing some loopholes in that legislation, signed by the chair of our board and submitted as part of the official record. These things don't just happen. They are paying attention. We bring things to them. And I think that, I know that the legislators, especially the Ramsey County delegation, appreciate the fact that we are ready, willing, and able, and stepping up really to the plate. I think I put enough acronyms in there. Anyhow, as far as just really getting this job done, this is a critical time. And when you look at, the things from transit and how things are moving through, it all affects the services at the local level and especially the county. I do think also that I know that legislators are struggling with the American Rescue Plan and what's going to counties and cities and how this is all working together. But I can tell you that in talking to my local legislators, the fact that Ramsey County, first of all, has what we did with the CARES money, and knowing that that is there, but also knowing the thoughtfulness in the way we are moving forward with what happens over the next 2 years. How can we make sure that this works? The need is great. There's more money coming in, that's true. But the reason there's more money coming in is because the need is so great. The loss of revenue, the loss of jobs, and trying to build back better. And I think that we are doing a great job with that, but it's not just money coming in. It's because the reason that it's coming in really has to be kept front and center. This is the American Rescue Plan. And it sometimes gets very difficult, and I know for Commissioners McGuire and Matas Castillo especially, being our chairs or chair and vice chair of this, the party politics that are being played are really disconcerting. you know, the human dignity and being able to move forward and figuring out how to do this is so much more than the current election cycle. And I don't know how else to put it. But again, I started out with, and I will end with, the amazing staff, and not just our intergovernmental staff, but also the people that they tap to say, okay, we need this letter, we need that, we need this testimony, and we are getting it done. And so I wanted to make sure that I called that out. Thank you.
And thank you very, very much. Appreciation from all of us. Very, very well said. I'll turn to Commissioner Maris-Castillo.
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. I just wanted to share two more updates on the federal level. As you know, we get federal funding for our County Veteran Service Officer, and a increase in CVSO Act funding has been introduced on the federal level, and a bipartisan effort by Representative Levine out of California and Representative Rosendahl out of Montana. And so that looks to be moving ahead. I think that's something we can be grateful for, to increase funds for our County Veteran Service Officer from the federal government. As we know, we serve lots of veterans in Ramsey County, and that offsets those funds. And then also to share that I was successful in moving my first ever policy through NACO's legislative conference with unanimous support on the toxic exposure bill. So that is also moving ahead, and we have great support, and will be introduced in the federal legislature as well. So exciting news there on the federal level. And then I just wanted to say, you know, kind of following Commissioner Reinhardt's comments, I've had the opportunity to sit in on several meetings now with Commissioner Ortega on River's Edge. And I have to tell you, it is really amazing to watch Commissioner Ortega connect with legislators on that, and them to get excited about River's Edge as much as we are. And so it's been great. We have had several meetings, though they were on break, but just to be able to partner and watch Commissioner Ortega in that room with legislators to share the vision has been really fun.
Thank you so much for those additional comments. And yes, it is exciting. Thank you for participating together with Commissioner Ortega this past week. And thank you, Commissioner, for all your fine work. Commissioner Ortega. I also have Commissioner McGuire raising her hand again, and I'm just going to give you a warning. We're going to stay with you, Commissioner McGuire, for your outside board and committee reports as well.
Great.
So finishing up the legislative.
That'd be great. Thank you, Madam Chair, because actually that was one of my things, was going to be an upcoming event. But I just want to say thanks to Commissioner Reinhardt for giving kudos to our staff. They are amazing. And I will tell you that they are able to be really nimble because of our platform. When they see something on our platform that reflects a value that we have, then they can write a letter that really reflects that. And so all the work that we've done in putting our platform together with the words that we use, we sometimes are, we're generalizing on things, but this allows them to really be nimble, excuse me, without coming back to us. They can say, we know that the board supports this because it's in our value statements, it's in our platform. So just thanks to all of you for all of your work in helping put that platform together. And then, of course, for General and Melissa Finnegan to put those letters together so fast is really amazing. And thanks, Commissioner Maris-Castillo, for all your work on Veterans Affairs and everything. And congrats on your first NACO bill. That's great. So anyway, Madam Chair, I also wanted to say, and I'm glad we're moving into commissioner reports, because upcoming, we do have a Ramsey County legislative meeting with our legislators this Thursday from 12 to 1. We've been working with our chairs, who are Jamie Becker-Finn and, oh my gosh, why am I, and, oh my gosh, Mary Kunish, that's right, they're both out in this area. Mary Kunish, it was Rena Moran, now it's Mary Kunish. They are chairing our delegation meeting, and so we're going to get as many legislators as we can at that meeting for a delegation meeting. So we'll be updating them on what we're working on and what their interests are. So with that, Madam Chair, then I'll keep moving on to speaking of general things that are coming up. The Ramsey County League of Local Governments is actually meeting this Friday morning, and all of you are welcome to come there. We are hearing from our school superintendents, a number of them, to talk about how the school, education loss, learning loss is happening and how they're handling, going back into person, and just how schools are handling the pandemic. So that should be a great meeting. Then I also want to, as part of my update, give continued kudos to our Ramsey County Library and League of Women Voters for doing such great events on racism. I attended several of them, redlining and racial covenants, and another one on Let's Talk About Race. They're just doing amazing work on that issue. The St. Paul Area Chamber, which co-sponsors with the Roseville Business Council, they did a public works meeting, and Ted Schenecker spoke. He was amazing, of course. He does a great job really highlighting the projects that Ramsey County is working on with our communities. And we got lots of kudos from our community about working together with Ramsey County. So lots of thanks to our departments for working with our communities. It's really helpful. I was able to I listened in on the Attorney General's panel on stopping hate against Asian American and Pacific Islanders. Oh my gosh, it was so fascinating. So if any of you get a chance to listen to that, I'm sure they've archived it. But it was listening to local Asian Americans and the impact that the hate crimes have had on them. Just Active Living Ramsey Communities met for our quarterly meeting. We had a great meeting. We had 37 people come. The pandemic is really tough, but we're getting a lot of people at these Zoom meetings. And we heard about, from the Met Council, did an equity conversation series. So we heard from Met Council on how we're dealing with equity in our parks. It was really good. So you can listen to that and then go to the Met Council for really great work on the equity series that they have. So also Mark McCabe spoke at that and gave a good highlight on how we're working on that in our own park with our 21st Century Park Plan. So with that, Madam Chair, that's some of the highlights of what we've been working on the last few weeks. So thank you. And just remind people about the Ramsey County League of Local Governments on Friday.
Thank you, Commissioner McGuire. I appreciate your updates, and with you on the legislative update, and then first on our county board reports, I actually moved you ahead of County Connections. I am thankful for our excellent board clerk who notified me that I need to circle back around. And so with board members' permissions, I will ask County Manager O'Connor for our County Connections. County Manager O'Connor, my apologies.
No apology necessary, Madam Chair, but thanks for the opportunity. I want to highlight a couple of things quickly. As you received on March 19th, the Ramsey County Elections Office 2020 Annual Report is now available on the Open Data Portal. Just a couple of key points, and to note that we'll be sharing the report with our partners in the weeks ahead. We're working with communications to ensure it's promoted externally as well. Our office served a record number of voters last year. 506,757 ballots were cast across the three major elections, a record for the highest number of ballots cast in a general election, and the estimated turnout rate in Ramsey County was 77.4%. A record number of voters chose to cast absentee ballots in the primary and general. Nearly 200,000 ballots in the general election were cast prior to Election Day, 65% of the total vote, and a 204% increase from the 2016 presidential election. And I'll end on, to me, the most important point, as it was a point of emphasis since 2016 with the county board, the three precincts that were specifically emphasized for voter outreach, education, and engagement in 2019 and 2020 all had increases in registration, turnout, and total voting last year, as well as we registered 11,000 new voters in 2020. So check out the full report, the annual report, and thanks to the entire elections team for their outstanding work. The community healing sessions have started as of yesterday with regard to the ongoing trial in Minneapolis. The first session was at Rondo Library from 6 to 8 p.m., and they are now beginning to happen at Roseville, Oxford Community Center, Arlington Community Center, Maplewood Library, and via Zoom. They're happening in either an every week or every other week format, and they are in partnership with the City of St. Paul. I'll continue to check in on that and report it, but these are important ways for anyone in our community to have an opportunity, either in person or virtually, to be able to find places to have discussion, to be able to listen, to be able to be listened to about all of the many feelings swirling in our community as it sits at the center of a global conversation around community safety and policing and race and what it all means as we try to build a more connected and better community. Today is Library Workers Day, and it's National Library Week, April 4th through the 10th, and I wanted to give a shout out to our excellent Ramsey County Library system and every employee who works within it. It's a time to recognize library professionals for their expertise and effort in transforming lives through education, engagement, enrichment, and lifelong learning. I think more than any year, we are grateful for all of the ingenuity that has come out of the library system during COVID-19. At times, it is those library materials that were a lifeline to people during the most isolating moments, and I want to thank the amazing staff for their work and thank the Ramsey County Friends of the Libraries for delivering thank you notes and treats at all 7 Ramsey County Library locations to say thank you to our staff. And then in the world of comings and goings, while I'm on the theme of libraries, it's with great pleasure and excitement that I can now announce that Peng Yang has joined Ramsey County as the Deputy Director of the library system. She has now started as of last week, so we're excited to formally say welcome to her in her new role. She has over 16 years of experience working in libraries, most recently as the library manager at Arlington Hills for the city of St. Paul. Advancing racial equity, diversity, and inclusion is part of Peng's mission. That clearly showed through when she described her work. She's often been described as energetic, visionary, trusted leader, relationship builder, great listener, and driven. And when I think about what we talk about in terms of talent, attraction, retention, and promotion, that fits so well. And Peng was named the 2020 Mover and Shaker by Library Journal. So we're really excited for her to join our system and for her to get to work with our entire talented team in the Ramsey County Libraries. And finally, I want to give a quick congratulations to Carol Fogarty. Carol has worked for Ramsey County for 27 years. I know you all know her. She worked with the board last year during one of the Lunch and Learns, specifically on the Intercultural Development Index. She has worked for several years across the county in different roles, starting at Lake Owasso residence as a staff development specialist, joining the training and development team at the East Building, where she spent a majority of her career, and then becoming a part of the Diversity, Inclusion, Organizational, and Development Unit as that work transitioned into HR, where she's had countywide impact. So Carol's official day, last day, I believe, is April 8th. And I just wanted to say thank you to Carol. She's been supportive of me on my journey as a Ramsey County employee and just hundreds, if not thousands of others. She's always shows up and gives her full self everywhere. And I know she's had an opportunity to support and work with all of you as well. Thank you, Madam Chair. Those are today's updates.
And thank you for the multiple pieces of news that you've shared with us, Ramsey County achievements, and congratulations, of course, and welcome to Peng Yang, and congratulations, of course, also to Carol. Thank you so very much. We're going to move forward then quickly with our board updates, as we do have a workshop and a special celebration and award. I will call then on Commissioner Ortega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll make it brief. I'd like to say a few words about Manuel Cervantes, who passed away last Wednesday. Manuel Cervantes was a Ramsey, a state appellate judge for workman's comp and a city attorney under Mayor Kelly. He has, his accolades have been well documented in the papers in the last week. But in the Hispanic community, he's very much a trailblazer. And he's been a mentor to so many people, and he's going to be greatly missed. You know, rather than go through his list of accomplishments, the best thing, I got to know him very well. We've taken several trips to Mexico together. When he was in law school and I was in grad school, and all I could say is he is more than anything a very humble and a very honest person that I've ever met, and he is widely respected in the Hispanic community. So I just wanted to speak to that because it seems like, at least lately, I've been speaking about so many of our leaders in the Hispanic community that are iconic in many ways, so as that now have passed away. So I wanted to acknowledge him. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very, very much. And our condolences to the family and all of the friends of Manuel Cervantes. We appreciate your sharing that. Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And yes, thank you for the tribute to Manuel Cervantes. Truly will be missed. As far as the updates, I'll try to be brief here. One, the NACO conference and the legislation, the platform issues that came out of the Environment, Energy, and Land Use Committee, all were adopted, and I'm really pleased with that. And including the National Equity Map, the Pollinators Resolution, and others. I think, NACO has been so important to what's been happening at the federal level, and the fact that counties and local governments were included in the American Rescue Plan is really a tribute to the work that's being done at NACO. And of course, we have our own Commissioner, Mary Jo McGuire, who is running for second vice president of NACO. And it is a challenging time, but one that is really critical as we move forward. I wanted to also note that the Recycling and Energy Board met, and we honored Zach Hansen, who is retiring as our Director of Environmental Health. The work that's been done over the years has been so many changes in the environmental field. As I noted at the R&E Board meeting, we started out, I remember, well, this was my field as well, being at a 15% recycling goal and 5% composting and thinking, are we ever going to meet that? And of course, now it's at 75%. And you know what? We're stepping up. We're stepping up to make sure that we're getting it done. And a lot of that, when we kind of opened up the doors and said to Zach and his entire team, because it truly is a team effort there, to give us, what do you think we can do to try to get to no waste going into landfills and less processing and more reuse, toxicity reduction, all the things that they needed to do. And man, when we did that, he took it and just ran with it. And so we've got huge things happening that I think we could have only imagined we could take the lead on, including the compostables, the recycling, the work that's being added to our facility, which is going to be so much better for the environment, gasification, anaerobic digestion. All of those things are becoming a reality. So a big thank you to Zach as he goes into retirement and all the new adventures there. I think that will be it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And yes, congratulations, and thank you so much to Zach as well. I want to call in Commissioner Fretham.
Thank you, Chair Carter. The Financial Implications Policy Action Group Subcommittee met in the last week to discuss how each of our jurisdictions intend to plan how we will spend federal ARP funds. We hope to convene again in about a month. Most of our jurisdictions are, like us, still in the phase of thoughtfully planning through what the priorities are. So looking forward to coming together again and how we'll continue to work together to ensure we're really maximizing the use of funds received throughout Ramsey County. And then I'd also like to thank the Association of Minnesota Chinese Organizations. They held a webinar on Saturday, which many folks were able to attend about the history of Chinese Americans here in America and their concerns right now with the rise of anti-Asian violence and what they as a community and what policymakers can do, and was able to share the letter we wrote or we sent as a board in favor of legislation to close loopholes in the hate crime legislation here in Minnesota. So thanks to them for having me, and that's all for my update.
Thank you very, very much, Commissioner Fretherman, for representing us with the reading of that letter. And also Commissioner Montes Castillo.
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. A couple of quick updates. In testimony that people actually are watching our board meetings and our workshops, I got a phone call from the steam fitters and pipe fitters, local 455, who watched our update on our energy efficiency in our buildings and said, you got to come over and check out our new thermodynamic system. And so they have retrofitted their building with a new thermodynamic system that's saving them about $8,000 a month in their heating and cooling bills. And so they wanted me to come check it out to see if it might work. And I've already passed that along to Gene Kruger to take a tour, but really fantastic. And always great to connect with our local unions. And they're really working to be ahead on the energy efficiency, and all of our unions recognizing that we need to do more for our environment and that they want to be on the front line of that change so that they're not left behind. And so really exciting to be able to do that. I encourage you, anyone who wants to take a tour, it is really, really cool. It's a closed well system. It's right over here off of 35E in Maryland. So also wanted to share that this Thursday, in partnership with the City of St. Paul, is our Mapping Prejudice event. You know, it is Fair Housing Month in April, and as continued with our work, and you'll see a release of our map for Ramsey County around where there has been historical zoning practices that kept communities of color out of home ownership. And so that is from 6 to 8. It's a free event on our Ramsey County events page on Zoom. So great event. One other thing I wanted to share, because it requires one additional shout out, and I didn't give it during our COVID update, but wanted to call out Daya Strickland. And Daya is, you may have seen her on social media this week. She administered the shot to our mayor of St. Paul, his COVID shot. But Daya is one of our most reliable vaccinators. She has been working to vaccinate corrections vaccinations in almost every homeless shelter, long-term care facility, church, and the consulate in Ramsey County. She never misses an event. She is at every event. And then when she's not in an event, she's in community talking to folks, especially our communities of color, about why it's so important to get their vaccines. And so I wanted to just give a special shout out to Daya Strickland, who's really doing that work and leading from her heart and in community and making sure that folks, and it was interesting to watch her at the vaccine clinic, because if someone walked in the room and they were a little nervous or they weren't sure, they had questions, they immediately assigned that person to Daya, who could calm their nerves, talk through it, explain why it was so important, and that it was indeed safe. And so having a Black woman who's doing this work in community on our staff is really incredibly important. And so I just wanted to say thank you, Daya.
Thank you for your updates, Commissioner Montes Castillo, and to Daya for the work that she has done. It's good to know the mayor's been vaccinated. That will help us in family gatherings soon, hopefully. All right, and I am going to call in Commissioner McDonough.
Thanks, Madam Chair. No report.
Thank you, Commissioner McDonough. I will just briefly share that it is National County Government Month. We'll have a lot more to say about that as we look toward a special resolution and summaries of work happening in our county and in counties across America. That wraps it up for our board updates, and we're in a special place where we have the opportunity to call on Commissioner Montes Castillo to represent us all in the presentation of a very special award to Janet Guthrie, Director of Administrative Services and Clerk to our county board. Commissioner Montes Castillo.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and it is my tremendous honor to be able to share thoughts from the board for Janet and her tremendous work for the county. Janet Guthrie grew up in the Roseville area and is a lifelong Ramsey County resident. Before joining the Ramsey County, Janet worked at several nonprofit organizations in the field of aging services, at the Roseville area schools and community education and workplace training, an organizational development consultant. Janet established connections with Ramsey County Workforce Solutions, at the time known as Job Training, while collaborating and partnering with county department managers on several projects. She says, during my time with Roseville area schools, I was always impressed by the staff from Ramsey County and the work that they were doing in community. I knew I wanted to be a part of their mission. So she has been called to this work for a long time. She was offered a temporary position with Workforce Solutions in 1999 and was hired in the planning specialist position 6 months later. The rest, as they say, is history. During her tenure with Workforce Solutions, Janet also served as manager of Public Assistance Employment and Training Services Division. She then transferred to the county manager's office in 2008 as a senior policy analyst in policy and planning. In 2015, she became the acting chief clerk and went on to accept the permanent position of Director of Administrative Services and chief clerk to the county board in April of 2016. In addition to the chief clerk responsibilities of preparing county board agenda and records, this newly created position also manages the administrative functions and budget of the county manager's office. This creates opportunities to improve the county efficiencies and effectiveness by working closely with departments and county initiatives. During her tenure as chief clerk to the board, Janet viewed her role at Ramsey County as a point of connection between the public and the Board of Commissioners and administration. Part of my responsibility is to provide greater transparency and accessibility to the county board process, records and agenda items coming before the board for possible action. While doing this, it is imperative that I serve as the impartial and unbiased connection between the public and the board. One key piece is to ensure board documents are written in plain language and thorough enough so that the reader can understand the overall topic or issues at hand, Janet explains. Janet's career with Ramsey County epitomizes the journey that we hope so many of our leaders may embark upon during their time here. Multiple opportunities in multiple areas, different chances to grow, learn, impact, and apply past lessons and experiences. A demonstrated record of meaningful work that spans across so many areas. A willingness to remain flexible through it all, with a pandemic emergency response thrown in for good measure during the home stretch. Okay, maybe we can all hope that future employees can pass from the last part. Janet, you have been an important member of this county team and an important member of the journey of Ramsey County and all of our leaders. Thank you for supporting the board, the county manager, for improving our processes and outcomes, for pushing for racial and cultural equity throughout so many of your important projects, and for showing up every day during times of good and times of challenge. You are so appreciated and you will be missed. And we truly wish you many blessings in your next adventures and can't wait to hear back about all the things you're creating and doing in community.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Commissioner Mas-Castillo and all of you commissioners. Very much appreciated. Kind of fun to hear that. It's, this is, anytime somebody's retiring, it's typically representing several decades of work. And so it's kind of fun to hear some of the things that have been a part of my distant past. I do want to say that, I've done a lot of reflection about retirement. And one of the things I would say is that, retirement is not a right, it's a privilege. And, I'm mindful of how many people who never have the opportunity to retire for a variety of reasons. And so I do feel like my life has been full of privilege, and I acknowledge that I have had a lot of privilege. I do leave the county work with a heart full of gratitude. There have been so many people that have helped me along the way on my journey, and many, many people who have left an indelible mark on me, so I carry that with me. First and foremost, I do want to thank Kevin Byrell. He is my life partner, my husband. I hope he's at home watching this, but I did tell him it's archived, so if he didn't make it, he could watch it at home at a later date. But he's been a supportive and not silent partner in my work. And so as we were raising our daughter, he was attending to all the things that I couldn't attend to because of the long hours and long work weeks and the pressures and the stresses of work. And I do have to say that he's a man of few words, but he had some very well-placed comments that he would make throughout my career here, and many of them led to some course corrections that I made. So I'm really grateful for his partnership and support during this, and also to my daughter Abigail, who also sort of didn't have mom home a lot during the time that she was growing up, and certainly I'm sure could be aware of sort of the stress when mom walked through the door, but has always provided me with a lot of joy and inspiration. So really grateful for her too, and what she's provided. I do want to thank my supervisors, because without them, I would not have even been in this capacity. Ginny Engberg is the first one who hired me to the county in job training, as Commissioner Mas-Castillo was reading, and I'm very grateful for her support, to Connie Catlin, to Julie Kleinschmidt, and then last but certainly not least to Ryan O'Connor for all of the support, and who provided guidance to me, who trusted me, who gave me these opportunities, and believed that I could do them. And that matters so much. And so again, I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for really the people that have been there to support me along the way. I also want to thank, there are so many colleagues across the county and beyond the county that have supported me, too many to mention, but have really given me the gift of themselves. I think of how I've often been in the role of student here. We do teacher and student, but I feel like I've learned so much from so many people in my life. And they've provided wisdom and insight and moral support during times when we've had a rough patch. I think we all have those. But I do want to mention particular 4 people who I think have just, during my tenure with the county, have really been there through thick and thin with me, and I really wanted to specifically thank them. Elizabeth Tolzman, Cheryl Kempe, Katrina Mosser, and Claudia Brewington. And they clearly have been a part of my support team, so very much wanted to acknowledge that. I also want to give thanks to Abby Goldsmith, Deputy Chief Clerk, and extraordinaire partner for all of the work that we've been doing as it relates to the board. I know I'm leaving things in really great hands, because somebody asked me if I'm going to watch the board meeting next Tuesday. I said, no, not at all. But I know it'll go well. But I want to thank Abby and Sia Zhang, Lisa D, Karen Schreck, Zakaria Nagatu, who are all part of the admin team in the county manager's office, and also extended to Cheryl Kempe and Jenny Zhang, who have left our team, but no less feel like they're still part of our team and have gone on to do greater work in the rest of the county. So I, again, would not be able to have done any of my work if I didn't have that team that was around me, and they show up every day with that great sense of teamwork, with resourcefulness, and also, like, no matter how exhausting the day was before, they show up ready to take on the next day. And I mean, you know, you couldn't ask for something better than that as a team. I also want to thank the policy team that's in the county manager's office. It's been so great to work with them, and they're awesome. So, along with many other people. I do want to mention that I think the most meaningful and challenging work that I've done during this time was really working with community, particularly with the American Indian and the African American communities. And I'm so grateful for the opportunities that I've had to do that. It has been really, it's an honor to have worked with them, but it's also been very humbling to be able to work with them, because I'm so mindful of the elders and the leaders that I've worked with, who in my mind are like giants in life, in our community. And they have provided such wisdom and insight to me. They've stretched me in ways that I didn't know I could be stretched. They helped me to have a deeper understanding about racial disparities, about inequities, historic trauma, and as I think about the work that they've done with me, they extended trust to me without having any evidence that it was warranted. And I am so grateful for that. And I'm grateful that they did that with the hope and seeing potential for an authentic relationship. And I carry that with me and am so grateful. I want to mention several of them who stand out in my mind as people that have been really important in my learning and in this journey. John Poupard, Levon Lee, Sherry Reimers. I also appreciate the work with the Board of Directors and the staff at the American Indian Family Center. And I also appreciate in the African American community too, that I worked with Mother Atum Azahir, particularly as we were working in Workforce Solutions on the racial disparities that we were seeing. She has provided great insight and has had the courage to point out things that I really needed to hear and that I needed to learn, and I'm so grateful for that. Mary Kay Boyd, Kwame McDonald, who is no longer with us, but those are both two people of significant force that have supported me, and Melvin Giles, my Peace Bubbles guy, who also worked with me on a couple of projects. I am really grateful for what they've given me. And I would say really last but certainly not least is to you, commissioners, and to you, Ryan. I want to thank you for the insightful and visionary leadership that you have. You each contribute to this collective whole. And it's powerful. It's powerful being a person who can sit at the table and watch it all unfold and to see what's going on across the county. And without your leadership and your guidance, we would not have been able to come as far as we have in the county. And so I'm grateful for that, for the compassion and the passion that you show and your relentless commitment to racial equity and addressing the issues of disparity and wanting to create a community where everyone can thrive. And I am so grateful for that. It's that authentic commitment to those things that has kept me here for the last 20-some years. Otherwise, I would have maybe gone on to something else. One last thing I want to just say is that, the caliber and commitment of staff that we have in Ramsey County is it's stellar. I've worked in several other organizations, and everybody has good people that work for them. But I have not been disappointed for the 20-some years I've been here about how quality and committed and caring that people are across the county. And really, our staff are the county's greatest asset, greatest resource, because it's through them that other people's lives can be changed and that the work actually gets done. So I just want to say thanks to all of the staff, some whom I worked with and others with whom I've not had the opportunity to work, but nonetheless, the results, I think, bear out from the quality of the work that they've done. So I feel like I leave the county knowing it's in good hands with good people, and that feels really very satisfying. Not that it had anything to do with me, but it's really been great to be a part of the Ramsey County family. I will mention one more thing. I received a card from Julie Kleinschmidt yesterday, and I thought, wow, this is really appropriate. This is what it said, is retirement is when you stop living at work and begin working at living. And so that's what I'm working on next. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Janet. And I do see County Manager Connor, who may have a few words. Then we'll just go around for one word from each commissioner. We've worked with you, and we so appreciate all that you have done for us in organizing and facilitating all of our work. And I know each commissioner has one word to say along with thanks. County Manager O'Connor.
Madam Chair, I'll just note that Janet has been a part of my county journey since I joined the county in the policy and planning shop, and we've worked together since that time. She's been a joy along the way and epitomizes all the great things she talked about in Ramsey County. I think people underappreciate how much work happens to make every Tuesday happen in this organization, and that doesn't happen without Janet and Abby and others taking on a lot of work behind the scenes. And she will always get credit for being the only chief clerk to write an emergency request for board action that had to close the entire county due to a global pandemic in like a 24-hour period, post it, and make it all happen. So Janet will forever be in my memory that way, and she never once complained. She just stepped up and made it happen, and I thank her for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Fretham, Commissioner Fretham, and then we'll just go around alphabetically. You know where you are, I hope. Commissioner Fretham.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Janet, for all your work. It's been a joy to have the opportunity to work with you over this last year and a half, even though most of it has been virtual. You made the transition seamless and made it easy for all of us to continue our work. So best of luck to you. I wish you all the best in your retirement.
Thank you very much.
Good trial on your one word, Commissioner Fretham. All right.
Yes.
And next.
I'm just going to send you all the love and blessings on your retirement, Janet. Best wishes to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Commissioner McDonough?
Yep, thank you. Janet, I just wanted to reflect. I actually started with the county in November of 2000, so our trail and path here, it was intertwined in so many ways that I just want to let you know how much it meant to me, but I'm going to call out two things here. One is back in 2010, when you were in policy and planning, and we had the HUD Sustainable Communities Grant, and you were assigned to that with me, and that was a pretty amazing process. And really the first time this region as a whole started to work on economic development and equity as people partners and moving forward in people priorities. And you were in the thick of things where you led the corridor to career work, working with local businesses and people in the community. And I just want to thank you for that leadership. And it was just reassuring in those meetings. I could look over my shoulder and I could see you sitting there as a loyal staff person, being a part of that process. And then I want to thank you for the 2 years that I was chair and was fortunate enough to have you as chief clerk. And I can remember so many times you came into the office and said, "No, I think we could do this better. Or if we made these adjustments, it would be better for the people, or we'd have more transparency." And to be able to work with you on actually improving our processes was such a joy. So all my best to you as you move on to living at work in your next phase of life. And thank you for everything you've done for the county.
Thank you, Commissioner McDonough. Appreciate that.
McGuire.
Okay, thank you so much, Janet. Janet, you have been a part of almost my entire political career from my days at the Roseville Community Ed Advisory Council. You were there as the epitome of calm, efficiency, making things better for people. And so I just have known you for so long, and you've really just been a great role model for me of how to really make things better for the people. And I just so appreciate that. Then when we came back together in Ramsey County, I just couldn't say anymore how much I appreciate the work that we're doing, and it's going to overflow into our next workshop, which is our advisory council work that I'm so proud of that you spearheaded. And so just thank you. Just wish you all the well as you work at living. I love that quote, and so just all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner McCord.
Commissioner Ortega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know how to be brief.
No,
I just
you can
wanted
do it.
Yeah. Let me just put it this way. You have been, what comes to my mind is you've always been comfortable to talk to. You've always been a caring person, very in tune as to very empathetic. And of course, you've always done a wonderful job, and you're very, very skilled and talented. But you know, those extra assets just made you a very special person. And I just enjoy working with you all these years. And we're going to miss you and wish you all the best in the near future and so forth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Ortega.
Commissioner Reinhardt.
Well, being at the end of the alphabet gives me the opportunity to say ditto. First of all, I mean, all the comments that have been made, and I will try to be very brief here. And I'm going to simply say, woohoo!
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt. That's great.
You know, that was the one word that I was looking for the whole time. Thank you. I would say, Janet, to you, that you have exemplified commitment. We are so thankful for all of the work that you've done with Ramsey County. And as clerk to the board, you've always put yourself last. You've been selfless in this work. Look at our agenda and you put yourself last here. And you just keep right on working, such as you will after this recognition as we go into our board workshop next. Thank you so very, very much. It's hard to be brief. I can't. So we'll talk again after the meeting. Thank you so much. We are in a place and time where we're thankful for having had you here. Can you raise, do you have something there with you as a momentum of your work here at Ramsey County? Thank you so much. It's the place where you've worked, our courthouse, and we're so thankful to be able to give you that. Hope you remember us, never forget us. Come back and say hello.
No doubt. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We have a board workshop coming up at 10:30? No, I guess it will start 10 minutes after this meeting is adjourned. We will be back on for our county board virtual workshop on advisory councils led by Commissioner McGuire. It will be a brief workshop, we know. We'll get what we can get done, and if we need to, we'll continue. And then we have a 1:30 county board virtual workshop on Ramsey County sexual assault response collaboration, which will be led by Commissioner Ortega. It is 11:25. We will adjourn, we will adjourn this meeting, and then we will convene our workshop on a separate link at 11:35. Thank you very much all. We are now adjourned.
Extended payment options that help you catch up on unpaid bills. This might include a payment plan on the outstanding balance or other payment options. Or we might be able to help you connect with community partners